Two questions in one, Pete. Who's the greatest player you ever played with or against, and who's the best pitcher you ever faced?
Okay, I answered it. You must have been sleeping when I...
No, I heard you one.
Okay.
You said Babe Ruth.
The best player I ever played with was Mike Schmidt. And I have all due respect for Morgan Benjamin Perez. And I played with Andre Dawson. I played with Gary Carter. I played with Steve Carlton. I played with Tom Seaver. I played with Barry Larkin. I played with Jethro, Paul O'Neill. Paul O'Neill, remember Paul O'Neill? He was great. I mean, there's one guy, Paul O'Neill, should thank God that I got suspended. Seriously, because I'd have never traded Paul O'Neill. Lou Piniella traded Paul O'Neill. He said he couldn't hit left-handers. And I remember Paul O'Neill used to bitch about everything. I mean, you couldn't call a strike on him. He'd be out by this far at first base and he'd complain. It got to the point where I would never go out and argue on his behalf unless Tony Perez would argue. And there's one particular night we're in second place, and Paul's out easy. He's out by a step and a half. And Jerry Crawford's umpiring. And I said, go out. I said, Tony, get him out of here. I need him in the game. We've got 4 innings to go. And I look at Jerry Crawford and I said, Jerry, that was the best damn call I've ever seen in my life. I said, but you know how this asshole is. He argues with everything. I said, I know. Now get your ass out of here. I'm going to kick you out of the game. I said, that's exactly what I want you to do. He said, you're out of here. Now the game's over, and O'Neill's sitting there talking to Parker. And he said, Dave, he said, that's the way a manager's supposed to stick up for his player. I wrote that in my book, and he got the ass out of me. I mean, the guy I got the most hits off of was Phil Negro. I got 60-some hits off of Phil Negro, and I got 40-some hits off his brother Joe. So I got a 40th of all my hits off the Negro family. If she'd have had 5 boys, I'd have got 5,000. The best pitcher I ever faced was Juan Marichal. The greatest competitor I ever faced was Bob Gibson. The guy that gave me the most trouble was Sandy Koufax. I could hit Sandy Koufax with that board right there. But don't forget, my first 3 years in the league, he struck out 1,000. 382 and 65, so I wasn't the only guy he was getting out. Now, when I say Bob Gibson, I don't mean to say that Seaver wasn't a competitor, or Carlton wasn't a competitor, or Negro, or Fergie Jenkins, or Don Sutton. Those guys were all competitors too. They don't go to the Hall of Fame. But the 3 guys I mentioned, Marichal, don't forget Drysdale, Marichal, Perry, and Gibson, they made an impression on me when I was a kid. I hadn't learned how to hit yet. And we used to have a 9-game road trip where we'd face 6 Hall of Fame pitchers. You face Koufax and Drysdale and somebody else. And you face Perry and Marichal and somebody else. Then you face Gibson and Carlton on the way home and somebody else. That's a rough-ass road trip. It's a rough road trip. You know, I don't think guys today have road trips like that. There was a lot of good pitching in the 60s and 70s. And, you know, you just get up